Hey, this is Nolan Stoltz, the composer of the Route 66 Suite, and this is the second of a series of videos on the Route 66 in Chicago. This one is about what's inspiring the final movement of the suite, titled "The Show Will Go On." We're looking west down Route 66 from the very beginning of the route as it was lined for most of its existence. It heads down Jackson Street, and starting in 1955, Route 66 turned north on Michigan Avenue. And immediately on your left is Orchestra Hall, dating back to 1904. This is where the Chicago Symphony performs, one of my favorite orchestras. I've seen them here before, but not the night I was here this fall, so I'll have to come back sometime in 2022 for a concert. Route 66 took the next left onto Adams Street, which is one-way westbound. Right above the Do Not Walk signal, you'll see a Route 66 begin sign. This one right here. This is misplaced. It actually belongs either at Jackson and Michigan or back here at Jackson and Lakeshore Drive. What I love about the intersection of Adams and Michigan is that in the late 90s, they renamed this portion of Adams Street after one of my favorite conductors, George Schulte. He was the conductor of the Chicago Symphony for many years, and he was my first favorite conductor. I'll never forget first hearing this recording of Gustav Mahler's Second Symphony. To say Mahler, and this recording of the second in particular, was an influence on me as a composer would be a gross understatement. Now, in my previous video of Chicago, I showed you my hotel, which is located between the 1926 and 1955 alignments of Route 66 in this building dating back to 1927. So staying there was for inspiration for the AD 1926 and lodging base movements of the suite. But what I didn't show you were these banners for the Chicago Symphony hung up on light poles around downtown. I like this one in particular, "The Sound of Our City," because that's exactly what I'll be capturing in the Route 66 suite. For example, I went to see this neon sign located just off of Route 66 to get inspiration for the Neon Dreams movement. But when I was recording video of the sign's animation, it captured the sounds of the nearby L train. And here's a shot of the tracks of the L train, or elevated train, looking down Jackson Street, which was Route 66 for all 50 years in Chicago. With the symphony not having a concert that night, I looked around the downtown area for some live blues. After all, historically speaking, Chicago is well known for blues. The only venue that night that had live blues in all of the downtown area was the House of Blues, so I walked up there. But, quite unfortunately, the performance listed on their website for that night must have been canceled. There's no sign on the door indicating that, no answer on the phone, nobody around, no social media posts, nothing. Very odd. So instead, I figured I'd check out the theater district just north of Route 66. Here's looking up State Street from 66. That way, I could get some inspiration for the final movement of the suite, "The Show Will Go On." And because theaters of the early Route 66 era so often had excellent neon signs, I'd get some nice inspiration for the Neon Dreams movement as well. I arrived in Chicago a week too early, apparently, as I would have loved to see Rent, one of my favorite rock musicals. And I'm not really a fan of Little Big Town, but a trip to Chicago would be incomplete without at least seeing one of the most iconic signs ever. The Palace Theater was also dark that night, and I probably wouldn't have gone to see Frozen anyway. But at the Goodman Theater, I came across a most wonderful and interesting surprise. An all-female mariachi band. No symphony orchestra tonight, no blues band, but I'm quite content with a little live music from this group right here. I'll tell you, you never know what you might find. Hopefully next time I'm in Chicago, with some careful planning, I'll be able to catch the symphony, some blues, some live theater, and perhaps even explore some theaters along Route 66 in other parts of Chicago. For example, the Douglas Park Auditorium at Ogden and Kedzie once included the Douglas Park Theater. It would be interesting to explore this building and learn some of the history of the place. So that's all for part 2 on Route 66 in Chicago. You can check out more videos about Route 66 on my Patreon page at patreon.com/Route66Suite. And if you're a conductor, check out my website at nolanstoltz.com/66 or my Facebook page at facebook.com/Route66Suite. Have a good one.